it doesn't really matter if you're going for a serious relationship and you want a girlfriend or a wife, or if you want a one night stand or something in the middle, friends with benefits, multiple casual relationships where it's understood that you're not exclusive. Whatever it is you're looking for, the process is generally going to be the same. The intensity of your emotions might change, and your slight angles of approach might change as you're spending time with them. You might open up more and connect more to someone that you want to make into your girlfriend, but that's not always necessarily true. I mean, I generally advise, and in my history I've been very open and kind and as helpful as possible to girls who I only hook up with a few times because I care about them. And I don't really see too much of a departure from how I treated casual girls to girls who became my girlfriend. The only thing that changed was, where did I stop? Where did things end? Either they ended because of her or me, where she wanted to push it further. And I said, hey, this is, it's not going to go further because I don't feel that way about you. But I didn't really treat them all that differently, and the process that I followed wasn't all that different. Now, this can be surprising if you're watching me for the first time. If you're a returning watcher, then you probably understand where I'm coming from. But this is still a fundamental video that's good to understand. But if you're new here, what I try to teach, I'm trying to put a name to it now. And what I've come up with so far is a good phraseology for it, is the courtship escalation model, right? It sounds kind of fancy, but it was the best one that we could come up with. I like it. And I wanted to break down the process from having her being a stranger to her becoming your girlfriend in, 9 steps is what we came up with. Once she becomes a girlfriend or a wife, things don't stop. The game doesn't stop. I know the game might throw some people off. Just go with it, okay? You obviously still need to maintain the relationship, and it's a whole new skill set. It's not completely different from the seduction process, but it does involve obviously a lot more open transparency and vulnerability in working together, whereas when you're in the seduction stages, there still is that lack of trust, which can cause a feeling of conflict. That's actually a really good way of describing it. I just came up with that explanation. One second. I need to write this down. A lack of trust causes the feeling of conflict. Because, sometimes when I'm teaching things, I'll phrase them in a new way that I didn't quite think, because I just do these on the spot. Because I know what I'm talking about, it just comes out of me, but I didn't ever phrase it like that. Because what I like to teach now is I break it down into love, lust, and trust. And that just came out naturally. That third part, trust, is a very huge aspect of whether or not a girl is going to continue to see you or sleep with you or date you. And when you're still in the seduction process, even after you slept together, there's still a lack of trust. I mean, she trusted you enough to share her body with you. But there still is that lack of trust of whether she's going to open up completely or not. There's people who are in relationships and marriages who still kind of keep things from each other, right? So there's always a certain level of wall that most people have up. But to have them reach that point where, what's the difference between an acquaintance and a friend? Or a friend and a best friend? Or a best friend and that's my brother, right? There's different degrees. And so what my job is to break things down in a way that's easy to explain. Because I know what I'm doing, but oftentimes, the difference between my knowledge and your knowledge is a wealth of experience. But also, I spent a lot of time, because I dedicated a lot of my life to it, figuring out how to understand it. So I understand it in my own internal language, but I have to be able to translate that to you. Because if you just were able to listen to me and understand it the first time, you'd have to watch a couple dozen of my videos, and you go, okay, I pretty much got it. There might be some details missing, but obviously there is a, when you have a connection on the internet, you have little packets of information, and you'll have packet loss. It's when you start lagging, it's basically packet loss. Some little bits of information on the screen of a video game are lost, so then you glitch. Just like when I'm teaching you something along the way, I'm shooting information your way, some packets are getting lost, right? So I have to try and simplify to a point where, You'd have to be really fucking dumb not to understand what I'm saying. Or again, it's just not your type of learning, right? I'm not going to be the best teacher for everybody, right? But with this courtship escalation model, it's a 9-step model that breaks down how exactly the seduction goes. Now, you have the model of attraction. Chase has similarity, arousal, compliance. I prefer to teach it as love, lust, trust. And those are the dynamics that are kind of like, it's like a triangle, and they're kind of all pulling at different points. Like certain personalities, they're more arousal based. Like they're kind of sexy. They're more charming. And then you have the people who are more love based, where they're really good at creating a connection. Which similarity is a way that I think you build a connection and that feeling of love. So Chase definitely nailed that part when he talks about similarity, arousal, compliance. But then for me, trust, like I just came up with, like that feeling of trust. I mean, she needs to have it to be able to share her body with you. Like she has to trust you to not hurt her, right? A lot of what makes women feel comfortable is them feeling safe around you, which I know seems obvious because you would never hurt anybody, but she doesn't know that, right? So a lot of your communication to her and her watching you is trying to figure out, like, okay, is this guy like trustworthy? Can I trust him with my time and my energy? He's not going to waste it. Can I trust him with my safety? And can I trust him with my body? Can I trust him with my secret? Like if we're in a friend group, like is he going to tell everyone? So trust, has so many different aspects in the seduction. So the model of attraction that's working throughout these 9 steps is love, lust, and trust. And they're all pulling in different directions depending on your personality and what you're good at. And then what you're bad at is pulling away. And you just need to reach a certain threshold, right? You don't have to have them perfect. But you just have to reach a certain... Everyone has different thresholds. And every woman has different thresholds at different points in her life, right? When she's young and she's, she goes off to college and, she's like, okay, I can be a totally different person. Like she might let loose because her threshold for trust is lower. She's like, you know what? I'm just going to go crazy and have fun. So her requirement for trust, she might just meet some guy at a party and think he's really hot and suck his dick in the bathroom or get raw dogged behind the frat house. And also you can drink or you might take drugs, right? And that lowers your inhibitions, which is basically your need for trust to different situations. You'll drive fast on the highway, right? Even though normally you wouldn't do it. So there's certain conditions, but also it's not just with being inebriated, it's different points in your life. Like you might be, you might have gone through a really bad breakup. So you're like, well, I have a high threshold for trust for a relationship, but now my threshold for trust for casual, because I'm, maybe I'm bitter and I'm upset and I only just want to fuck girls and just be, a fuck boy. Well, that's gone drastically down. So I'm just going to fuck whatever I want. So everyone's threshold, man or woman, is going to be changing, and my threshold for love is I don't care, right? Because it's not even an evaluation. Or a girl who gets fucked over and she goes through a hoe phase, her threshold for love is also going to go down. She's just mainly focused on her lust or her arousal. So these are all dynamically kind of playing with each other, both yours and hers, because of course you have your love, lust, and trust, and she does as well, because she has to game you to a certain extent. For men, a lot of it is her looks. But clearly that's not just enough, right? There are some other aspects, even though our main drive is arousal. But the model, the step 1 through 9 till she becomes your girlfriend, it's the same process whether or not you're going to be casual with her. I mean, just think about it, right? It's you're meeting her, you talk to her, you ask her out, you get her phone number, you start texting her, you set up a date. This is more than 9 steps. I'm kind of just breaking it down more specifically. You go on the date. You get to know each other more. You try to build a connection. You guys build a connection. You don't build a connection. There's some awkward phases, etc. Right? Then, as this process is that a thunderstorm outside? Oh, it's a motorcycle. It's like, Jesus. And you have this building up of love, lust, and trust. But still, there's really no difference between a girlfriend and a girl you're just going to hook up with. Then maybe you do build a good connection, so you have sex. And then you continue to see each other. This is where things start to change. Now, some guys think, oh, I don't need to like show her so many emotions. You can do this to a certain extent, but as I got more experienced, I realized that sometimes that actually hurt my seductions. Like, there were girls who were very clearly cool with having a casual relationship. There was one girl in particular I remember. Like, we were really going good, and we were having fun, and we were having great sex. But I thought, oh wait, she's getting a little bit too attached. So I pulled back my emotions, and she noticed it, and she was like, hey, the last time we met was kind of weird. You acted kind of different. It was like seeing a different person. And I was like, well, I just, I wanted to, I kind of felt maybe we're getting too close. And she's like, dude, I know we're having sex. I know we're not boyfriend and girlfriend, and that's not what I'm expecting. But it doesn't mean you have to be cold around me. And it really affected like her, and she ended up not seeing me anymore because she said it made her feel like, I was two-faced. And I was like, that wasn't my intention. I was just trying to put a break on things. But she made it clear. She's like, I know we're just having sex, but you still have to treat me nicely, right? And she even said that. She said, I'm 100% sure this is casual. In fact, maybe it makes it more important that you're nice to me and you don't treat me like shit. Because it is only sex. So at least just treat me nicely when you're around. It wasn't like I was a dick or anything. It was just my vibe. I was just kind of cold because I was purposefully like, oh, maybe I'm being too sweet. I'm being too romantic. Because I can really let myself go and be really, really sweet and kind of romantic to girls that I'm with, even casually. Which I've done in the past, whatever. And sometimes I get attached, and sometimes it's generally pretty clear that we're casual. But I decided to kind of force myself. But it was unnecessary, and she made it clear. She's like, no, I totally understood it was just sex. And so I saw that experience, and I was like, there's a lot of times in my life where I tried to push my idea of how I think it should go, rather than, you need to have free will and agency. I'm not saying that things just happen naturally and you just have to let them be. That's not what I'm saying. That's a very stupid idea of dating. But I was trying too hard to push things. It was an overcorrection, an over attempt at control. And it sort of damaged the organic growth of the casual relationship that we had. And it was a misunderstanding fundamentally on my part that, even after years, I was still somewhat separating casual and serious. When in reality, it's just a question of how far you take it. That's it. You should still open up to someone that you meet for the first time. I mean, that's what makes a really great seducer. A lover of women is a guy who could open up on the first date and get her to open up. That's what's going to make her feel enough of a connection to actually sleep with you on the first date. Because that is going to require a higher threshold of trust. Like, wow, first date, I'm going to go back home with him. Yeah, that's going to take a leap of faith on her part, right? But you're going to have to build a connection, and you can't build a connection, love. I know it's an extreme word, but it's just a spectrum. You can't build a connection with a girl off of, just surface level shit. It's possible if her threshold is low, but if not, and girls of higher caliber are generally going to have a higher standard, right? The hotter the girl, the more beautiful, or the higher self-esteem, she's going to have a higher threshold of necessary connection before she's going to sleep with you, or, at least kiss you, or keep seeing you. Lust in and of itself is built of vulnerability, because you have to be willing to try something. Like, you go to touch her leg or touch her hand, or you give her really strong eye contact. You're risking yourself, because you might come off creepy. You might come off eager and thirsty. So you're taking that risk. Well, that's a type of vulnerability, and that's something that requires you to take an emotional risk. And you're going to do that with someone that you meet for the first time, or someone that, or like you only want to have something casual with them after you meet them the first time or a couple times. And if you want to extend it beyond. And it's more than just based on the model of attraction. It's also based on how women like men based on their courtship with them. Women like the men who fuck them. I mean, it's a little bit self-explanatory. But everyone kind of separates, oh, you take it slow with someone you're serious with, and then you take it fast with someone who's casual. That's how it works a lot of times, because people think that's how it works. But they're just misunderstanding that it's the same process, but they see someone who maybe they had something casual with, and they're like, oh, we slept together really quickly. Oh, it's casual. And then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. But then they take it slow with someone, and they're like, oh, this is serious. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. But that's not necessarily how it goes, because what I've seen from experience, and what a lot of people's experience, the guy that she fucks early has a higher potential ceiling of attraction than the guy who takes it slow. Why? Well, because you're hitting her in her fucking G-spot. Like, you're making her feel really, really good. So she's going to feel a lot of connection to you, and a lot of lust to you, and a lot of trust. She's sharing her body with you. Whereas she's waiting to share her body with that other guy. So she doesn't trust him as much. Right? Insert this meme, right? Fucking think, bro. She trusts that guy. She doesn't trust the other guy. Now, though people will put flowery language on top of it, but you can put fucking sprinkles on a pile of shit, and it's still shit. Oh, he's more of a long-term guy. So what you're saying is he doesn't make your pussy wet. Oh, well, I want to get to know him better. So what you're saying is you don't trust him. Oh, well, I feel like, we need more time to make a connection. So what you're saying is you don't feel love for him. It's a lot more simple than you think. But we sometimes we overcomplicate things, and sometimes we oversimplify. It's not all simple. It's clearly not the case. If it was, all simple, then we'd all have it, right? It might be subtle, but not necessarily simple. Or you might be able to say it's simple, but it's not easy. It's simple in theory, but it's hard to execute. So, yeah. Whether it's casual or serious, all you're going to do is at a certain step, right? Keep sleeping together, keep dating, and then boom, the person brings up a relationship. You or her, and it should be her. And then there's the agreement, the handshake, right? The contract sign. We're going to be together. And I have 9 steps kind of laid out, and I'll do that in a future video, but these are the sketchings of my breaking it down to a model to make it really, really easy for you guys to understand. But I wanted to come back to this fundamental basic idea that whether it's serious or whether it's casual, the process is the same. Build love, build trust, build lust. And she will want to see you again. She will sleep with you. She will continue to sleep with you. She will continue to open up more, and you will continue to open up more. And if you want casual, then you just leave it there when that conversation comes. But you still have to move things forward. You can't freeze things in time. Like, oh, this is perfect right now. It's just casual. Well, yeah, but you still have to give that person emotions. And be nice to them and be cool with them. Like, even girls who I remember in college, I would just invite girls over and just blast their pussy, and then, that's it. And then they'd leave, and we would never see each other outside of that. But she would, stay the night and talk to me and get to know me. No, she'd walk in the door, she'd like, hey, can I come over? Yeah. She walks in the door, I grab her, bend her over, pull her pants down, and start blasting away. Anyways, it started blasting. Right? Sometimes she'd be like, all right, cool, thanks, and then leave. Or, she'd stay the night. But we get to know each other. That was one thing that I was really good at is, whether it was a casual girl or a serious girl, like, I was always very open, and I like to get to know someone. And maybe I give them advice in their life, or they just need someone to listen. It doesn't have to be so black and white. This is serious. This is casual. So the point of this is ask yourself, what do you want? Well, it doesn't really matter. The process is the same. You just take that girl to the point where you're happy with. And then it ends when it ends. One of you gets dissatisfied. She wants to look for something serious, and maybe she doesn't want it with you. She knows. She just wants to go find it. And you're kind of taking her time and emotions. Okay. Or vice versa. Or she does want it with you, but knows you're not going to give it to her. Or vice versa. You want it from her, and she's not going to give it to you. Or you both want it, and you're both going to give it to each other. Perfect. You have that conversation. Right? But steps 1 through 9 happen the same way. Cool? All right. So if you like these videos, I would advise that you check out Girls Chase TV. We have videos that are exclusive only to that platform. We have other people that make videos on there, not only me. We have Tony Depp. He's on there. We have Chase. He makes videos on Girls Chase TV. There's a lot of free videos if you just want to go and sample it. And there's also a premium subscription, right? Everything in this fucking world has a subscription now. So do we, right? It's like $15 a month, but hey, you get a bunch of extra content. I mean, you've been getting a lot of content in here for free. You have like, what, 500 videos, 550 videos? Hey, you can go get some premium videos for $15 a month. I think it's worth it. So go check them out. And then, of course, I have everything else in the description. If you're interested in private coaching, let me know. Description below, sign up for a consultation. I have my day game course and my texting book. But enough marketing. I love you guys. Go fuck yourself. Hector Castillo.